said, I don't like to sit in the shit.
I don't. It stinks. You sit in the shit, it'll stink.
मैं इधर नहीं बैठा होता, I could have a better view.
Oh no, I'll turn around for you right now.
Thank you.
I would talk deliberately. I'd pick up my coffee cup like this. I would look at you slowly. My mother was like, hello.
Prime Video has invested in stories with strong female narratives like Shakuntala Devi, Sherni, Made in Heaven, Penguin, Four More Shots Please. Just a few names from our list of hundreds. Break the Roles is Prime Video's initiative that aims to drive representation for women in the industry, breaking the roles both in front of and behind the camera. Underrepresentation of women in media has often reinforced harmful gender stereotypes and have portrayed an imbalanced picture of the society. This is something that we at Prime Video India are determined to challenge and change. In fact, I'm personally committed to it. We as an industry have gradually shifted the focus from women playing supporting roles to becoming the protagonists. With that, let me introduce you all to the dynamic Anupama Chopra, founder and editor of Film Companion, and global superstar and borderless entertainer, Priyanka Chopra Jonas.
Amazing.
How amazing.
It never gets old, does it?
No, are you kidding? It never gets old. I mean, look at the love I'm surrounded with. This is the support that makes me go to work every day. This is the support that makes me fight my battles and, you know, feel like I'm not alone, and it never gets old. This is what I work for, you know, so.
So, Priyanka, I have to start with something that you said, which I loved.
What did I say now?
Correct.
Now what?
It's always, ab maine kya keh diya?
Ab maine kya keh diya, yaar?
No, you said that good girls don't make history, bold girls make history. You've been a bold girl for as long as I can remember.
Right.
This year is the 20th year of you in Hindi cinema. Hero, the Love Story of a Spy, released in 2003. I remember our first interview, which was like 2 years after that. I was talking to you for a story I was doing for the New York Times about how Hindi film heroines were actually now becoming bad on screen. They were no longer these
when I did Aitraz.
When you did
Yes.
Aitraz and you played this sexual predator, and I remember speaking to you about it, which was 15 years ago. You were bold then, you are bold now. What does it take to be a consistent disruptor?
I think I was very lucky to have an upbringing where my parents gave me a sense of self, where I was given the ability to make my own choices. I think a lot of girls, especially in our country and, you know, many others, their ability to make choices is taken away from them. So I think it's very important for us to raise bold girls, for us to raise girls that push the envelope, for us to invest in the girls in our communities, in our countries, because once a girl stands on her own feet, she not just takes her family forward, she takes her community forward, which in part takes the country forward. Women are 50% of the world's population, and we have always had to take a step behind. And I think it is imperative, our prerogative and our responsibility, men, women alike, parents, grandparents, and as communities and societies, to empower our children, our girls. And I am a result of a family that empowered me. From I was 4 years old, my father encouraged opinions where I used to sit with, you know, my parents' friends, and my dad comes from a, you know, middle class background. So does my mom, Ambala, conservative background. But he always asked for my opinion, and not in a flippant way, ki, "Achha, let's see what a 4-year-old has to say," but in a serious way. And that always made me feel like I'm important. And I told this story actually, I think I told it in my book, but it was really interesting. You know, in military houses, they have nameplates outside your barracks where it says, who is staying here? So my father was a major back then, and my mother was a captain. So the nameplate said Major Ashok Kumar Chopra and the captain Madhu Chopra. So I looked at it when it was being installed and it was hammered into our house, and I asked my father. I must have been in kindergarten, I think, that time. So KG mein baith ke, I asked my father, I said, do I live in this house? And he said, yes, you do. So I said, then why is my name not up there? And my dad changed the nameplate. And it said, it said Priyanka Mimi Chopra KGB, which was kindergarten B. That is what I mean. Giving me a sense of self, not making fun of me, not saying, Dekha isne kya bola tha, see how funny that was. It was not funny. It came from a serious place for me, even at 5. And it was taken seriously by my parents. So that's what I mean. I think it is really, and as a new parent myself, and as many of you may be, and aspiring to be, I think it's very important for this generation to invest in our girls. It's so important.
I think you've redefined that word bold.
In a good way?
In a good way. You know, पहले कहते थे अरे बड़ी bold है.
बड़ी bold है. वो मुझे वो भी कहा था, don't worry. बड़ी bold है ये. I converted it into being a good thing.
Absolutely. So Priyanka, you are now headlining Citadel, first Indian actor to headline a global spy series. Okay? Yes. Here's the thing, okay? So this series, guys, costs $200 million, which Google tells me is upward of 1,600 crores. I can't even figure that one out.
मुझे तो maths नहीं आती. I can't convert between rupees and dollars.
खैर, बहुत पैसे हैं, बहुत पैसे हैं.
It's above my pay grade.
But Priyanka, this is such a massive achievement. What do you want it to do for yourself, but also for other actors?
You know, it's my 10th year. 10th year, I think, 2013, that I actually started looking for work in Hollywood. And after 10 years, you're seeing me do a show like this. So it takes a lot of perseverance, especially for immigrant actors that try to come into Hollywood and create a space for themselves, whether that's Indian or from any other country. Because when I started working, especially when you think about South Asians, I mean, there were like 4 or 5 in the room and we all knew each other. And now, you know, the quest for all of us, and that could be Mindy, Aziz, me, Carl Penn, like, you know, few actors, was always to open the door and make more space for more like us. And when I started, when I got initial pushback in Hollywood, when I was, you know, looking for the kind of work that I was used to, and I'm not afraid of hard work. I made my show reel. I walked in to meet, you know, producers, filmmakers. I showed them the work that I had done in India. I'm not someone who walks around with the ego. I believe in hard work, and I think only your work can speak for itself. So I used to walk in, I took meetings, I did auditions, and I got smaller roles, and I made them bigger and bigger and bigger, and slowly it took time to be able to get to this place. So I think that now that I feel like I have, you know, my feet on solid ground. For the last 4 or 5 years, it really has been my quest to be able to create a lot more space for not just me, but people like me, actors, you know, writers, directors, women behind the camera, in front of the camera. I have a first look deal with Amazon Prime, in which I'm producing a lot of TV and film for them, and most of them are hyper-specific stories about South Asia and our diaspora. And I feel so proud to be able to actually work with a streamer that is so interested in India, Indian stories, and you know, and I signed this first look deal with them 4 years ago. It wasn't even now, but are so invested in telling specific, culturally specific stories, and I love to be able to be at the forefront of that. I'm working with incredible writers, new writers, like I did with Purple Pebble in India when I started making regional movies. I only worked with first-time producers, first-time directors, first-time writers, and that somehow gives me a lot of joy. I never had anyone who did that for me or opened up doors for me when I joined the industry, and I want to be the shoulders for other people to jump off of because I have got this privileged responsibility or an opportunity.
That's so wonderful. Thank you.
It's such a great place to be in, where I'm telling you that there's this one show that Purple Pebble was presenting, and they had been, you know, small movie, and they'd been knocking on all of these doors, and we got them in, and they're in at Prime now, actually, again, my home. But, you know, she gave me a hug, this film, and you guys will hear about it, so I don't want to talk about it right now, but she gave me a hug and she said, to be able to just know that I have someone I can call and say, hey, I'm from your part of the world, can you connect me to someone? Can you show me the way in a place where, you don't know anybody? Like, I did not have that. So to be able to be that conduit for someone really gives me so much satisfaction.
Priyanka, you've been famous for most of your adult life, right?
More than half my life.
Yeah, more than half your life. But I feel now the fame is sort of just outsized, right? You have 85 million people just following you on Instagram.
Right.
It's insane.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It really is nuts.
So, but your job is to be an actor, right? It's to enter a character and make us forget about Priyanka. Does that get harder the more successful you become? How do you nurture the actor?
I think fame is a byproduct of my job. It's not what I was seeking when I started working. I was not like, oh, I want to do this movie and be famous. No, I wanted to win awards. I wanted people to like my work. I wanted to be taken seriously as an artist. I feel like I'm a very creative person. So they both kind of become one. You have to protect that by protecting yourself. So when I go onto set, I try not to play myself ever. I don't think I've ever played me. Like, you all may know me because you know me as Priyanka and you've known, my interviews or conversations. But I don't think I'm similar to any of the characters I've ever played, because that's been a very deliberate decision. Especially for, like, Nadia. Nadia has no sense of humor. She never smiles. And I'm always laughing. I'm goofy, I'm funny. She's like really serious. And she keeps the world's burden on her shoulders, and she's really tough. And I cry in 1 second, and I'll tell anyone any secret. And, I'm very open with my inner circle, and that keeps me sane. It keeps me rooted. It keeps my, sense of self. But I think the same thing I do with my characters is I really protect them. So I can be myself with my people in my home, but when I go to set, I don't feel the need to be me at all. So you spend time with your filmmakers, you break down characters. Like on this show, Richard and I really depended a lot on each other because our characters are so intertwined. So there were times where, a line would come and I would say, or he would say that, hey, I don't think we've talked about this, because the show is non-linear. It goes back and forth in time. So you'd say, I don't think we've talked about this yet. And I would say, oh yeah, it was cut from the previous script. And then we'd go back to the writers and say, hey, I think this needs to be amended. So we really worked as a unit on this one, which helped us kind of navigate, the characters and be very honest and true to them versus ourselves.
So when you walk into the set, when you're in front of the camera, you are fully able to disconnect from the noise around you?
Oh yeah, girl.
Really?
That's what I do. That's literally my job. It's between action and cut. I have been trained in Bollywood movies. Do you know how many streets I've danced on?
Yeah.
I've been in the middle of Trafalgar Square, guys, with 500 people around me dancing in front of a horse. So, nothing moves you after that.
Yes, this is true. But Priyanka, when we look at you, right, from the outside, we see this woman in charge, right? We see the boss lady who's living in this 23,000 square foot home with this rock star husband, with a gorgeous daughter, right? But you do talk about how tough it's been. Okay, you've talked about the politics, the bullying, the trolling when your daughter was born, all sorts of comments are passed. How do you actually disconnect from that?
I came to terms with the byproduct of fame very early in my career. When I first joined the industry, I quickly realized that women specifically, but generally actors or talent in the industry, they are more written about, and this is a you thing, I mean, not you, but like a media thing. People like to write about everything else but their achievements. Media likes to write about how they fell on a stage, how they tripped up on a word, or anything and especially with women, at that time, we were mostly known by who's her boyfriend, who is she seeing, and so you had no identity. And and that happened to me right at the beginning of my career. So I took a very decisive decision to keep my private life very private. I was ferociously private about it. I've never ever spoken about it, and it's something that I maintain even now because I'm a public figure, which means most of my life is for consumption. You know, you can talk about me, I can't stop you. You can break bread with your grandparents and say, "Achha, usne to ye pehna tha, ya usne to ye kiya tha, uska to ye hua tha." Main to nahi rok sakti. I can't come into your houses and do that. So I have to make peace with the fact that that's going to happen. And I did that very early. And I started protecting myself by creating a really tight circle of people that I trust. My team, my family, my friends. And that's like, I can count 20 people in my life that have been consistent for years. And I recommend that to all young people. You know, we live in the world of social media, which is kind of like being famous anyway. You know, it's kind of the same thing. You are always looking for validation on the internet. We're all looking at comments. We're all looking at what did someone say about my picture. We're, fixing it. We're trying to find the best angle. And on social media, including me, we all put out the best versions of ourselves, right? I don't have that luxury as a public person. You can, literally lip read and, say that I said something and that'll become an article. And I have not said that at all. So I made peace with that very long time ago when I wrap work, whatever time that is at night. Nowadays it's usually 7 o'clock where, not today obviously, but it's usually 7 o'clock where I'm done with my day and I need to sit with my family and my friends and have time for myself to enrich my soul. I didn't do that in my 20s and I burnt myself on both sides. I went through a really, really dark phase where I was working too much. I didn't know how to emotionally feel. I was dealing with a lot of loss and grief and changes, and I just had to step back and take time out and, prioritize what was important. And I'm very clear about my priorities today, and I'm the most content and happy I've ever been.
Well, you look it.
Thank you.
But Priyanka, coming back to what you had talked about, specifically about the Hindi film industry, specifically about the politics or the bullying, what do you think we can do to make it a more equitable space? What can we actually intentionally do?
I think conversation is very important. I think we get caught up in pointing fingers, we get caught up in blame games. And cancel culture is so prevalent in our lives right now that people think that's the solution to everything. And I completely disagree. I think it is never one or two persons' faults. I think it is a society and it's a community that perpetuates that. And I think we need to start thinking about how we create opportunities or create a positive workspace, how we make space for others instead of actually, having a smaller and smaller table. How does your table become larger and larger? And how do you give more people a seat on that table? And I think maybe it was that experience for me, and it wasn't the industry. I have incredible friends, and I've worked with the most amazing filmmakers in the industry. But it's certain cliques that always do that. And that'll happen in your profession, I'm sure in your profession, including mine. And I think the conversation around creating more space for people is very important in every job, and to create a good working environment, a positive working environment with transparency, with respect. And I think respect cannot be demanded. It has to be commanded. And I think when you walk into a room, you have to walk in with a sense of self. And that's very hard. When you're young and when you're new and you're scared, it's really difficult to do. But I always encourage young people, especially young girls, that and young people in general, in the world of information today, where information is coming at you left, right, and center, whether it's misinformation, fake information, correct information or not, you're getting all kinds of information. You have to really take time from your spirit and in your heart to see what actually affects you, what really moves you, what you care about. What is important to you? What are your priorities? And I think the noise just kind of goes away. And when the noise kind of goes away, you find that self-confidence. And that's what I tried to do is I, of course, was intimidated. Of course, I was, weak in the knees and terrified. And, but what I did was I tried to cut the noise out, and I took my next step, and I took my next step. And I didn't think about the large picture. I didn't think about where I was going. But I knew if I take one step and I make it excellent, and I take next step and I make it excellent, hopefully my journey will be excellent. And here we are now.
Citadel started as a conversation you had with Amazon studio head Jennifer Salke years ago.
5 years ago. Crazy.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
And the fact that she's in charge, I think has some role to play also in the fact that you said that this is the first time in your life that you've got pay parity. Mm-hmm. So a woman in the position of power really makes a difference.
Absolutely.
So we do this, Film Companion does a report with Amazon and with Omax called Oh Woman, yeah. And in this, so it's an annual report on women in entertainment. And last year, the report found that if a woman is heading any project, it even impacts on the talk time that women have in trailers. It's 35% if there's a woman in charge, it's 22% if there's a man in charge.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Wow.
It's incredible. But the sad thing is, in the projects that we looked at in the Hindi film industry, only 10% of the HODs were women. So how do we change this?
We are already changing it.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and I'm so proud, honestly, of the women of my generation, female actresses, directors, and a few amazing men who have taken it upon themselves to create more opportunities for women in the industry, in front of the camera and behind the camera. And I think that's very important. To be able to, we have Aparna sitting here who heads the India side of this incredible studio. She's taken hit after hit, but is still formidable and taking decisions and pulling up other women. Jen, who has set that top-down tone to be able to do that. And, you know, I think that the more we push for women to be in positions of power, the more we'll see women in decision making, and then the more you'll see the impact, not just on women, but communities, on men, on women alike. Because women have been deprived of opportunity for such a long time, and especially positions of power, we have to work 4 times harder than men to be able to get to that position. We have to prove ourselves so much more than men to get to be able to be in a position of power. It's harder, you know, when a woman is in charge, she's tough, there are words that are used for her which are derogatory, which when it comes to a man, we would say, wow, that's so impressive, he's so powerful. But with women, we get intimidated, and we have to change that. And that conversation needs to change. We have to normalize, wanting women in positions of power, respecting women in positions of power. I mean, we're from a country we're in India. We pray to goddesses, we believe in goddesses. Durga is prevalent to all of us, and who follow the belief system. And I think that we really have to go back and remind ourselves that, women are what make our families. We are matriarchal, as well. We believe in the power of dadis and nannies and moms, and we always go back to that. Why can't we take that outside of our homes as well, and inside of our homes? Why can't the conversation about equity? And I see it happening already. I've seen it in so many homes. In my own home, when my mother was younger, my grandmother had 4 daughters, and my grandfather was very sure that they'll all be educated and they'll all have academic jobs, and they all do. And then they've changed the lives for their daughters, and then their daughters are changing the lives for their daughters. So and the family in general. So I think it's really important to have the conversation, and I think it's very important to raise our sons respecting our daughters.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right, Priyanka, when you talk about your generation of actresses, because I've done this for 25 years, right? And when I started, women didn't talk about these things.
Yeah.
It was just not done.
You're not supposed to talk
You're not
about
supposed to. And we all accepted that as the norm. None of us questioned it. It was just a given that no female actor would talk about pay parity. तो बहुत दूर की बात है. मतलब कुछ भी नहीं.
No, I also didn't expect it. When my agents told me, you know what, you're playing a co-lead, let us go and talk to Amazon about getting you parity. I was like, okay, you can try. It's never going to happen. Even I didn't believe it. Because for so many years, I've fought that fight and had that conversation.
You
and I was
fought that fight here?
Of course. I mean, I never asked for parity. Are you kidding me? I only asked for a little bit more. वो भी नहीं मिलता था. चलो मुझे same ticket भी दे दो. वो भी नहीं मिलता था. So I just gave up the fight. So that's why even over there, I was so jaded, you know. I was like, that's not going to happen. But I have to give a shout out to my agents, UTA. They really were like, let's just have that conversation. And then Amazon, which said, that's fair. And that's how the show is going to be. They're both co-leads. They'll get the same parity. They'll get the same perks. And I remember I was so shocked that day when I went back. I like popped champagne and I was like, my family was celebrating because it's such it's momentous. I've had a 22-year career and it was crazy to think about. But, you know, one step at a time, one win at a time. And then you look back and your life is a win.
Prime also runs Maitri, which is headed by Smriti Kiran, where it's a collective for women in entertainment. Do you think these kind of initiatives, where it is a sort of a sisterhood, where you're kind of leading on each other, can this help to kind of perpetuate the change faster?
Absolutely. I think when women are surrounded by each other and we kind of support each other, there's a magic that comes out of it. Because for the longest time, women were pitted against each other, right? The most beautiful girl will get the job. So we're all trying to elbow each other out. And the most beautiful girl will get the boy. So we're all trying to push each other out. You know, actresses can't be friends. They have cat fights. Nobody talked about that with boys. Everyone was like, it's a bromance and they're friends. But no, the girls were always cat fights. Always.
We always heard कि दो heroine हैं तो अरे लड़ाई तो होगी.
Of course. And that was perpetuated.
Yeah.
And you realize, and that's why I'm saying I'm so proud of my generation of women, not just in entertainment, but all of you who have created a sisterhood, who have said we're not going to perpetuate that anymore. It doesn't exist. We can be friends. We can support each other. In fact, we can do business together. We can make money together. We can create opportunities for other women together. We can be financially secure and secure other women. And it is so wonderful to be able to see that in this generation of women, because now I know that the next generation will not inherit that problem.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, a louder round of applause. Priyanka, you said you're the happiest you've ever been, right? But when you look back,
Content.
Content, which is nice. It's all good. It's all good. Is there anything you wish you had done differently?
I wish I hadn't shed as many tears as I did. I wish I hadn't beaten myself up as much as I did.
Why did you beat yourself up?
Because that's what we are taught to do. We're taught that, you know, one failure is when you're young, when you're like in your teens and in your 20s, and I see a lot of young faces here, and you'll realize this when you get older in your 30s, you'll realize it. But when you're young, you feel like one failure is the end of your life, or one breakup, or one friendship, or one fight. You feel like you can never come back from that. And I am a very intense person in general. I'm very sentimental. I'm emotional. So everything affects me. Energies affect me. If I've hurt someone, it affects me. If by deliberately or, you know, by mistake. So I think I used to really beat myself up when something went wrong or when I didn't get an opportunity. It's my fault. I must have done something wrong. And I would like to tell my younger 19, 20-year-old self that, you know, life is all hills and valleys. It's never going to be a smooth road. You will have up, you will have down, but when it's down, you will go up. So when you're up, be prepared for a down, and it's okay. Surround yourself by people that prop you up. Surround yourself by people who are genuinely happy for you. Not all the followers, not like the people who, you know, you think are your friends that you may party with, but the ones that pick up your phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning. The one when someone is sick in your family that will sit with you for hours overnight. You know, those are the ones you collect. Those are the ones you remember, and those are the ones you keep for the rest of your life. That's the biggest riches in the world. And I mean, I had that when I was 20. I just ignored it because I thought that, you know, my new life and this industry and my career was the most important thing. But family is, and the people around you are. And having a support system that makes you want to step forward every single day in this difficult ride called life, you know, and that just makes it easier because life is never going to be easy.
Yeah.
It makes it easier to have the right people in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as long as I've known you, it's always been world domination plans.
Has it been? Since you've known me.
Since, you know, it was never key, I'll only do this. It was always, I want everything. And which is wonderful. But I'm just wondering, experience, wisdom, age, motherhood, has that changed at all? This world domination plan?
I think so. I think there's always a glass ceiling that is set up for women, and I just don't like a glass ceiling. My dad had told me this, and I know a lot of you know this because I've said this before, that, you know, glass ceilings are set for girls, for people, minorities, immigrants, whatever you want to say, women, you know. There are glass ceilings set for everyone. I don't think she's capable of that. They're not going to do it. I don't think he can do this job because he's not confident enough. I don't think he dresses right, or I don't think she does this. People will have all kinds of opinions and all kinds of noise that will that'll turn your personality into what they think you are. So I think, yes, age, growing, maturity, maybe motherhood, maybe the fact that, you know, I've fought battles, I've overcome them, some I've succumbed to, and I kind of reached a place of plateau. And I think getting to that place required a journey. But I think that, you know, being kind to yourself, which I didn't do a lot of times, which I do now very much, is crucial. And I think that's kind of what helped me, is kind of being very kind to me.
What does that mean?
So, I'm an ambitious girl, right? You said global domination. I want everything that's bigger and better. I want the next step to be bigger than the one I took last. I want my next movie to be bigger. I want my next part to be bigger. I just want everything to be, you know, an upward trajectory. But there were times where I forgot to sleep, I forgot to eat, I forgot birthdays. I wasn't home for Diwali. I would work on Christmas. I was never around. And I looked back, and my mom used to say this, like I have like 11 passports, okay? I have like, my passports are that big. My mom used to always say, you have so many stamps on your passport, but you've never really been anywhere. And it's true. I'd never seen anything. Hotel
kind
room
of
to
heartbreaking.
set. I know, hotel room to set to hotel. I took my first holiday almost 10 to 12 years after I started working. And now I've invested in myself. I'm trying to find things that I like outside of work. I haven't found it yet. I'm a really bad painter. I found out that though. I shouldn't have bought that easel. It didn't work out well for me. But I'm trying.
What are you painting?
I don't know. I tried. I had a really ambitious, I found this. I was shooting in Silver Lake Studios in New York. And it has this beautiful billboard, which is like in lights, which is like black and red. And I bought a black easel and I said, ye to easy hai, red say, I just have to splash paint. It looked like watercolors. By a 2-year-old. It was so embarrassing, I didn't show it to anyone. And I decided painting was not the thing. I've tried knitting, I'm gonna try pottery, I've tried all the things.
You're knitting?
I did, I knitted a scarf. It was 9 feet tall because I don't know how to do corners.
मतलब वो end ही नहीं होता.
चलता है क्या? Angry knitting. And it just became,
You're competitive in your knitting as well.
I'm like all my emotions are being poured into the scarf. But I mean, like, now I take time for myself. I'll take a holiday. I spend time with my friends. I laugh a little. I don't always live in work, and I think your life being your work is absolutely untrue. I think we're told that for a very long time, that if you stop working, somebody else will get that opportunity. Don't stop working, but have a work-life balance. I think having a work-life balance is so crucial, and especially us, you know, we're a country of so many people that we are constantly told to say that if, you know, somebody else is going to take your spot in a second. But if you invest in yourself and you're really good at what you do, and you kind of find your rhythm and your strengths, focus on that, find a work-life balance, work becomes so much better. You're inspired, you're excited, and that's how I'm being kind to myself, is just by giving myself time.
Because I remember a conversation we had, like, I think 5 years ago, and actually it was before your marriage, and you said, I asked you, what have you given to have the career that you have. And you said, my life.
I did. I did not have my 20s. I don't remember anything else except being on set or trailers or my team. In my 30s, I started going to America and, I was having a little bit of a 2-second music career. And and in my 2-second pop star career, I had a great time because I was suddenly like, oh my gosh, I love music, and I think musicians are incredible because musicians and writers, I feel like people that can create from air, just writing a song, it comes from your head. As actors, we lean on other people's words, we lean on other people's direction, we lean on other people so much to be able to bring our characters to life that we are given way too much credit, I think. But writers, people who conceptualize, people who come up with ideas, whether that's for music or for books or for art, or painters, paintings or drawings, things that come from thin air, I'm a big admirer of. So when I started doing music, I was in the room with all of these people that I'd grown up admiring, like will.i.am and Pitbull and Red One, and I was like, like spinning, and I suddenly started doing stuff that I liked. I was like, because I didn't think, honestly, like after I heard my first song, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be long term. But I was enjoying it too much to give it up, so, and in that phase is kind of where, and this was me in my early 30s, I kind of realized that I really have fun when I hang out with my team after work, or we find a new restaurant, Oh my gosh, a movie has come out, should we go to the theater to watch it? Like, those were things I just never did. And maybe because I was in America, I had a little bit of anonymity compared to India. I started doing stuff like that. And it kind of shifted my mindset. And I started taking on work with people that I like. I started working with like-minded people. I started looking for like-minded people to collaborate with. I started making friends that like similar things. I started taking time out and, going away for a weekend. How about that? It was such a new, novel concept for me. And that, I think, kind of helped me find a little bit of a work-life balance.
Here's the thing I don't get.
Okay.
Is how, despite the incredible fame for such a long time, you are able to look at that music career and honestly say it was 2 seconds, right? You were able to walk into... No, listen, guys.
In my 22-year career, it was 2 seconds only. There are literally 4 singles online, guys. I have 40 in Natasha's laptop, though. There are many songs in her laptop, which will never be heard.
Lekin, Priyanka, you're able to see it with a very... Objectively. Yeah. You're very realistic and sort of open about, okay, maybe I wasn't so good at this. Yeah. There's not a lot of famous people who can do that. How are you able to do this?
I don't know, man. I come from a place of honesty. I think it's just easier to be authentic and transparent. I mean, y'all are talking about it anyway, so I might as well join the conversation. You know what I mean? Like, why are you leaving me out? Tell me what you really feel so we can all talk about it. And I hear what you really feel all the time, trust me. It's all on my timeline. But I think like just being a little bit more real with yourself. I don't have a sense of ego when I walk into a room. I know when my films haven't done well. I know when they have done well. I don't rest on my laurels. I'm never someone who like say, wow, my last picture kitni badi hit thi, and then just be excited about that for the next 5 years. No, I'm looking for the next thing, how I can beat what I just did. I'm always looking at being better than what I was in the past. So I think I can be very honest and say, okay, that was bad, and I cried and I dust myself off, and then abhi kya? You know, what you do after failure is what defines a human being, because failure is going to happen to all of us.
Yeah. That deserves a round of applause. Are you good though with failure? Do you sort of get it out of your system quickly?
No, it takes a lot of dramatics before it comes out of my system.
क्या होता है? What is Priyanka?
अच्छा, overeating, overthinking, overcrying, watching movies for 5 days and not talking to anyone. Like, everybody, it sucks, man, when you fail, whether it's in class or whether it's, you know, in your whatever. Like, any dent hurts when you work really hard. and you fail, it hurts. And especially in my job, right? Like my job is so inconsistent. Think about it. I don't know where my next check is coming from till I sign my next term. I have no idea. So it's so unpredictable that it's not like a 9 to 5. It's not like I get a salary every month. Like, think about the basic of that. It's really a simple, terrifying thought. So to build a 22-year career with that kind of inconsistency takes a lot. And I think it's easier for me when I'm more realistic about it. And I'm like, you know what, that didn't work. How can I make it better? I have to know that to be able to be better. I cannot be deluded. I don't like being deluded, and I don't like deluded people. It's just not my cup of tea. Yeah.
You said something else that I really loved. You said, I don't like to sit in the shit.
I don't. It stinks. Think about it. You sit in the shit, it'll stink. You'll stink. Why sit in it? Go have a shower, get out of here.
What do you do? Practically, what do you do to not sit in the shit?
Lots of tissue paper. Wow, this conversation pivoted. I picked a really solid metaphor, huh? I think that what I meant by that was that, you know, life throws stuff at you. And there are times when everything feels like you're never going to be able to get out of it. Like it's quicksand. Every day you're being pulled down, or every moment you can't even see a sliver of hope. And we've all been through phases of our lives where that has happened. If you sit, and you should sit and mourn what you're feeling. I really believe in not pushing things under the rug. I believe in actually talking about it. Find a person you trust. It is very, very crucial. And I have friends, and we know people that have, you know, when people think that they're alone, the noise and the fear becomes really big. When you're alone and you're dealing with what you're scared of, you can't fight it because it's in your head, and you can't fight what's in your head. But when you talk about it to someone you trust, whether it's your family member, whether it's a loved one, whether it's a therapist, whatever, somehow the power goes away from it. So what I do when I am in the shit is I diffuse it. So say I have an issue with you, right? And you know, you and I have had like, whatever, you said something about me, because I'll never say anything about anyone. You said...
It has to be me.
It has to be you, because you're on the hot seat, always asking us questions. You said something about me. The next time I meet you, I'll talk to you about it. I'll sit you down and I'll say, hey, what do you mean? What happened? What turned? You know? And we'll talk about it for 5 minutes, and it's over. And I don't have the baggage around my feet. I move on, and it's done. Just move on. You know, life is so much easier when you're not sitting in the shit and carrying the baggage along with you. Usne ye kiya tha, uska ye hua tha, ye nahi hua tha, mere saath this. You're so heavy, you're never going to be able to rise above the water. You have to let it go to keep your head above water. And I like breathing. Fresh, clean air.
Okay, last question, and we open it up to the audience, because this is something I want the practical hack, okay? Because this is something I deeply admire, is how much you get done in a day, okay?
Right.
We also work together on the Jio Mami Mumbai Film Festival, and it's unbelievable to me that you will find time and you will sort of sit on it with the kind of detail that you do. How do you do it?
If I can't do it, I won't take it on. You know what I mean? So if I've taken on, like you called me and you said, I want you to be chairperson this year. I want us to go in a different direction. How can we do it? I thought about it. I talked to my team. I was like, all right, what does our next year look like? What can we do? I want to be able to prioritize this. I think Mami is such an incredible destination for filmmakers from pan-India, and film students and people who are fond of films, who love films, film fans. How do we make it better? And that just the idea of being able to do that excited me. And I prioritized it. So the same way, when I take, whether it's my businesses, investments, producing, writing, you know, Mami, any responsibility I take on, I divide the time in my life, and it really, really helps to have an excellent team. I could not have done this alone. I have had people in my life that have worked with me for decades long. Many of them are in this room, 2 here, 3 there.
Yes, round of applause.
My team is my greatest strength, and they help me do all the things that I can so that I don't have to sit on scheduling. I don't have to do the minutia. I can actually be the creative that I am. But I also do like multitasking, so that's on me a little bit. I'm greedy. I don't like to give up opportunities. Ki koi aur kar lega to. So I kind of find time. But like I was telling you, like finding a life, work balance, I started like in 24 hours. If I want to sleep 8 hours, I like to have a little bit of a 12-hour turnaround. 10 hours of my life will be dedicated to all the various things that I have to do. But after those 10 hours, I'm not available. But in those 10 hours, I am so productive because I've figured out my life. I know what my priorities are, and I know I'm going to hit those priorities in those 10 hours. So I think you really have to be it's like a mathematical equation when it comes to how I handle all the various things, Things, it's like Jenga. You kind of have to fit it in and pull it out and hope it doesn't fall.
Well, it hasn't fallen yet, and it won't.
Thank God.
Thank God. Priyanka.
Thank you.
And now we're going to open it up to the audience.
Ved Ratna Pratap Singh. Hi. Hi, Ved Ratna. How are you?
Hi Priyanka.
Hi, Dave.
First of all, you're looking very stunning today.
Thank you
I mean,
so
I
much.
just hope मैं इधर नहीं बैठा होता, I could have a better view.
Oh no, I'll turn around for you right now.
Thank you. Thank you so my question to you is, what was the most challenging part during the making of Citadel, and how did you overcome it?
I think the most challenging part, honestly, was it was a very long time. It was a year and a half of shooting, and I'm used to movies, it takes 60 to 90 days. This was a year and a half for 6 episodes. It was a lot of work. It's a complex show. Timelines jump, characters jump. So that was very challenging. Also, we shot it during COVID. Do you remember how working during COVID was? How many of you worked during COVID? Like 2021? So do you remember what the environment was, bubbles, and how you had to test and you couldn't talk to anyone? And especially in the movies, because as actors on a set, we're the only ones that take off our masks. So it was very scary too, to go on set while everyone is masked and everyone is in PPE. We have to take off our masks and perform scenes. And we were all working that time because all of you were consuming so much entertainment. There was और क्या आ रहा है? और ये किसी को बनाना तो पड़ेगा ना? So we went back to work. And I remember I went back to work in October of 2020, which was very terrifying. And the first time I went to set, this was Matrix Resurrections. I flew to, we were filming in Berlin. And I took that flight, and I remember everyone was masked, shield, PPE, and it was really scary. And I remember crying, and I was scared. I didn't want to talk to anyone. So filmmaking is such a joyous experience, Vedratnam. It's not it's not rocket science, okay? We are not saving lives or anything. We're just making movies. So it's fun. It should be fun. No one should be getting hurt on a film set. No one should be stressed on a film set. It should be a fun, amazing experience. And this was tough because of the emotional setbacks, because of the physical demands. And also it was very physically demanding and challenging. I think being able to work with an amazing team helped, and keeping friends and family tested and close really helped. And my dogs were with me. So that really helped me too.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank
Nice
you so
talking to
much.
you.
Thank you. Okay, Dikshita Naresh Hate. Hi, Dikshita.
Hi, I'm really nervous.
No, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. मैं और तुम ही बात कर रहे हैं और कोई नहीं है यहाँ पे.
ठीक है. First of all, I would like to say I'm a huge fan of yours and I really loved you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And my question to you is, what is the greatest life lesson you learned in your journey of success?
Oof, ये तो मैं Miss World pageant में बैठाती हूँ. Please give me the crown after I answer this question. I think the greatest life lesson that I've learned in my journey so far, which I kind of was saying, is to really find the reason why you go to work every day. You know, don't just be a zombie. Don't be a robot. Don't sit on your computer or in your cabin or, in your job without feeling a sense of passion. And that was my greatest life lesson. I'm lucky because I go from project to project. I know there are many people who have one job for a long time, and that's hard to be able to find excitement and passion. So then find something else. But to have a sense of passion when you wake up in the morning for whatever, whether it's your job, whether it's your life, whether it's your hobby, to have a sense of passion gives you a sense of purpose. And having a sense of purpose really leads to success, I think. Do I win? Okay, who's next? Mansi Itadkar.
Hi, thank you for pronouncing that correctly because people butcher it all the time.
I think it's very important to pronounce people's names correctly. People have mispronounced my name a lot.
Yeah. So my question to you is that you've had such a long and illustrious journey and career and all of that. So like, what's next for you? Like, would you love to like direct or write something? I think that would be fun.
Scary.
I mean, for you.
I don't think it'll be fun. It'll be terrifying. Yes, I do aim to evolve. I would like to direct. I have been offered opportunities to direct, which I have declined because I think to direct, I'm someone who's very intentional. I do a lot of preparation. I do a lot of homework. I like really immerse myself into anything that I take on. And if I had to direct, I'll be gone from anything else for 6 months. So I always tell my team, when are you giving me 6 months where you'll not come to me for anything else? Then I will direct. But honestly speaking, I think it's something I want to do and I hope is in my future. But I want to be able to build a career in America like the one I had and enjoyed in India. I worked with the best filmmakers in the world. I worked with the best talent in the Indian film industry. I have worked with filmmakers that inspire me and I call even today for advice. And I have been able to do a variety of genres and roles. I have not been able to do that yet in Hollywood. I think I want to explore myself and be able to, in the next decade of my life, build an illustrious variety of parts or characters that I play. Like along with Citadel, I have a movie coming out which is called Love Again. It comes out on May 12th. And that's a completely opposite character than Nadia. She's soft and it's a romantic comedy and she's vulnerable and, so that's what I mean, is I want to be able to play different roles so I can be as surprising to audiences there as I have hopefully been here.
Best of luck. Looking forward to your journey ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
What would the Priyanka Chopra directorial look like?
I don't know. I'm sweating thinking about it. I don't know, but I think I'm not someone who will take on something really large, I feel like maybe I'll do a short or something so that I can dip my feet in, learn a little bit. I'm a student of life. Even, you guys keep saying you've had such a long career, what is there to do and whatever. I don't know everything. I don't know everything at all. There's so much to learn, especially on the technical side of filmmaking. I've been very lucky to be able to produce a lot of movies, which has given me an insight on the technical side of it. And I would love to have the creative technical experience as well. But I think it requires learning. So I think I'll take small steps, do maybe a short, see how that feels, and then maybe an episode of TV, and then see how that feels. And I don't know. That's how I think. I'm a practical person.
How lovely, though. How exciting.
Let's see when it happens. All right, next. Last two. Rahul Gopi.
Hi Priyanka,
Hi,
hope you're
Rahul.
doing well. Before I direct the question, I would like to give a shout out to individuals like Aparna and Anupama to creating these spaces for women and individuals so that people who are not from well-to-do backgrounds can own up these spaces and create their own stories. So thank you so much.
It's a fact. They're both incredible women and
Yes.
leaders in their own way. Yeah.
My question to you is, since you have been part of so many projects, what is more difficult, to get into that character and the psyche of that character, or to get out of that character after the project is over?
To get into it. I'm not very method like that. It only happened to me once in my life where my mother was like, snap out of it if you're going to come into my house.
Which character?
Etras.
What were you doing? Were you just behaving badly?
No, because Sonia didn't behave badly. But I used to walk in slowly. I would talk deliberately. I'd pick up my coffee cup like this. I would look at you slowly. My mother was like, hello. Koi camera nahi hai yahan pe. Come back home. That's the only time it happened to me. It was so funny. And I was like, what am I doing? But I was so young and I was so nervous about that character. I think I really overthunk it and I used to bring it home and I really wanted to, figure it out and not get it wrong. And I was working with Kareena and Akshay at that time and they were like, big movie stars. And it was one of those smaller, it was a big step for me. So, but my mother quickly brought me down to earth. And after that, I think she filmed me once. Like she took a video of me talking to somebody, like quietly, and showed it to me, and I was so embarrassed that I quickly realized that I have to leave my characters on set. But getting into it is more of a challenge for me. I think when I read a script, what I like to do is I like to familiarize myself so much with the character that I'm playing that she's like my best friend or my roommate, someone that I've known for years. So I will know whatever my character will do in any given scenario because I familiarize myself with her backstory, how she walks, how she talks, what her clothes are like, what her preferences are like. And then before I go on to set, I throw my script. I don't think about it. I come in completely unprepared. I know my lines, but I don't think about how I'm going to do the scene because if I know my character and you put me in a scene, I know exactly how she will react to her brother or how she will react to, her boyfriend, or I know her behavior. And then it gives me the ability to create magic. If I practice it too much, at least that's my experience. There are many different kinds of actors. I don't benefit from too much practice and too much rehearsal because then I become very robotic. So I'm a first 3 takes kind of girl. Uske baad I need a break. Thank you so much, Howard.
Is there one more?
Yes, last one. Gurkirat Singh Anand.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, I just need a breather.
How are you?
Hi, firstly, how are you?
I'm very well, how are you?
I'm fine. So, as an actress and as a viewer, one genre which you will never get tired of, what would that be?
Real life crime dramas. Murder documentaries. I don't know why we like to watch crime dramas so much. But that's one I don't tire of. Like I can watch reruns of SVU and Law and Order and all of that. I'll always find it on television for some reason. But another one that I don't think I'll ever tire of is I think good romantic comedies. I love a good romantic movie. I love having tears in my eyes because my heart is full. I love walking out and with a skip in my step because the hero and the heroine found each other.
बड़ी खुशी होती है.
बड़ी खुशी होती है मुझे. Satisfaction होता है मुझे. बड़ा जोर से satisfaction होता है. So those I never tire of. I love watching a good. I just recently was doing reruns of movies. We do that in my house. We watch movies a lot and we watch shows a lot. But we were doing, and I watched Jerry Maguire recently, and it just reminded me of what an amazing movie. And it reminded me of my teenage years. That time, it was my favorite movie. Still is for English language movies for the longest time. But I love that warm, fuzzy blanket-like feeling. When you watch a romantic movie.
Priyanka, thank you. And I think I speak for everyone in the room when I say you had us at hello. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being such a wonderful audience. And I know you have tons of stuff still to go.
Just 2 more things.
Like I said, world domination plans always.
Yes, ma'am.